So let's face it, millionaires do money different than others. And today I'm going to share with you 7 of the best insights you need in your money plan to achieve your financial goals. And the best news of all is they're not that difficult. In fact, you're going to be amazed at how easy they are. Hi, my name is Annette Bau, your host of the Wealth Inside and Out podcast. I'm a certified financial planner and founder of the Millionaire Insider. For over 30 years, I have been advising and researching the top 1% of millionaires, and I am passionately obsessed with money, mindset, and the intersection of self-worth and net worth, and how the two connect and allow us to live fulfilled and wealthy lives on our terms. I'm a Midwestern girl who had a dream, began investing $25 a month 35 years ago, and today have a multi-million-dollar net worth. I teach the tried and true that only someone with over 3 decades of experience advising millionaires would know. This podcast is different about much more than money. We talk about mindset, success, money blocks, worth barometer, and all aspects of money and topics from practical manifestation, along with real-world how-to and everything in between, with the goal of making your journey easier and more fun. Think of this as coffee, actually matcha tea, learning real-world common sense money and life advice from a BFF that you can start applying today. If you want to create a financially free life you love, you are in the right place, my friend. This is the Wealth Inside and Out podcast. Specifically, what you're going to learn is you're going to see how they view money, what they do first, how they handle their emotions, and what they forego to achieve their goal. If you want one of the most valuable, insightful resources available on millionaires, how they think, what they do, you can access this free guide where I share 20 of the best Millionaire Insider secrets I've learned over the last 35 years advising and researching wealthy clients at themillionairinsider.com/20MIS. The insight you're going to learn in this resource is priceless, and it's unavailable because very few people have spent 35 years entrenched in the lives of millionaires. Again, you can access it for free at themillionairinsider.com/20MIS. You're going to love this resource. So let's dive in. For today's show notes and resources, you can go to themillionairinsider.com/19. For all shows, go to themillionairinsider.com/podcast. All materials and intellectual property are copywritten by themillionaireseries.com. The information we provide is not intended to replace any advisor or specialist or to provide you any investment, financial, tax, retirement, or any planning or healthcare advice. All participants agree to hold millionaireseries.com and its affiliates harmless for results achieved or not achieved. So let's dive into the 7 insights how millionaires do money differently. So the first thing is they manage their emotions. Let's face it, when you are going to make a money decision, it is really easy to get your emotions involved and to end up making a really bad choice, right? And the one thing that is so fascinating about millionaires is that they don't. I always found it absolutely intriguing how well they manage their emotions. So there are 2 camps of people, and they're really 2 brains, right? There's the reactive limbic that comes from our primal, our toddler, our child brain. It does what it wants to do. The people that are more in that out of control primal brain don't know how to push the pause button. So if you look at their financial lives, oftentimes it's sporadic. They've got money, then they don't. They have very volatile relationships. And it's just kind of like a drama zone. It's exhaustive even to watch, let alone to live. I can't even imagine it. And then the other group is just more steady and stable. They're coming more from their prefrontal cortex. They're coming more from their rational, more mature brain. You'll find that the second group can pause and reassess, reevaluate, and redirect. They act out of intention, focus, and clarity as compared to the group that's more of the primal brain, fear, worry, and anxiety. So we all have that primal brain, that 2 million-year-old brain that's the fight or flight that's there to protect us. And it's kind of like when we're children, we want that piece of candy or we want that toy. We're going to do whatever we need to get it. the issue is that primal brain is so addicted to dopamine and cortisol, and it wants what it wants now, and it reacts accordingly. And if we have not developed our prefrontal cortex, or some people, because they've gone through so much trauma in their life, their prefrontal cortex is not really developed. And so we got to understand that if that's us, we got to really work on that, because that's the rational part of your brain where you create your plan, your strategy, and then you implement it. And you don't do what you feel like doing every minute. You do what you need to do to achieve your results. So I really encourage you, if you have an issue with that, to really work on it. But to achieve anything, we've got to align both of our brains, and we've got to get our prefrontal cortex working with our primal brain. And one of the keys is managing our emotion. And that begins with elevating our worth barometer. You can go to themillionaireinsider.com/3 to access that, but that teaches you everything you need to know about the worth barometer. And the worth barometer is absolutely critical to managing your emotions. The next thing they do is they have a plan and they prepare for the unexpected. So, one of the things that's really interesting is something happens to a fulfilled millionaire. They just keep going. What they do, first of all, is they assess it, they make adjustments, but they continue on their course. They don't give up. Whereas when you see other people, a little will happen and they're so derailed. And the next thing you know, they're not even doing what they're supposed to do. So if you find that to be you, all I want you to do is I want you to get comfortable being in that state where you feel uncomfortable and realizing you're going to be okay. What I want you to understand as you're in that space is the fact that you know what your plan is. You've already created a plan and you know what you need to do to achieve your goal. If it's not working, you got to either reevaluate your plan or reevaluate the actions. And that's really as simple as that. So one of the other things that I see a lot more affluent and wealthy people do is they have assets diversified and they have assets in different positions. Now, when they're focused on building their primary business, they oftentimes, almost always have all their eggs in that basket and they are in control of that basket. But then once they accumulate a certain amount of money, that's when then they become more diversified. So again, just be aware of it. Probably not a bad idea to be a little more diversified. A lot of them had retirement plans and have retirement plans and even some personal investments, but their primary focus is on what they're building. And the vast majority, especially of people I worked with, had their own company. They were entrepreneurs. They also have a winning formula. And we dove into this in episode 1 on the financial freedom formula. They have a foundation, their inner game, their strategy, their game plan, and then their execution, their outer game. And I'll link to that in the show notes too, because that's a really good one if you didn't listen to it. But the bottom line is they've got a plan and they have a contingency. And that is what allows them to stay on course, whether there is a pebble in front of them or a boulder. I dove into this just a little bit. They focus on their main income stream. So they choose one course. And one of the things I love is focus, follow one course until successful. And they do that really well. But once they have their main income stream flowing, that's when they diversify or expand. Once they amass their money, they'll diversify their assets and their investments. Now, I'm not giving you any investment recommendations here. I think it is a great recommendation to be diversified. That said, that's not what I saw a lot of times with millionaires. So again, you've got to consult with your own team of advisors and see what makes sense for you. The problem of having all of your eggs in one basket is it's either going to do really well or really terrible. If it does really well, great. If it doesn't, then you're not going to have money. So you got to be aware of that. They know their numbers. I mean, you've heard me say this before, but boy, they know their P&L, they know their balance sheet. Now, your P&L is your profit and loss. It shows your cash flow, what's coming in, what's going out. And then your balance sheet are your assets less your liabilities. They have a pulse on that at all times. They watch and monitor their monthly, quarterly, semi-annual, and annual profit and loss, and they do a balance sheet typically annually. Some know their daily numbers. I recommend you track your daily numbers. Once you set your goal, especially if you have a business like I do, I just have my daily numbers and I know what I need to hit on a daily basis and really what I need to hit on a monthly basis. And since I've tracked that, There's probably been only 1 month in the last 4 or 5 years since I've been tracking that I haven't hit my monthly goal. Very powerful, very important. They forgo income over the accumulation of wealth. So their focus is on the end game and they're more focused on accumulating money. So they're in the driver's seat of their life as compared to generating income, where you're more at the mercy of others. And if you did not listen to my interview on the lessons I learned from a centene millionaire, that's somebody that has $100 million net worth, I encourage you to go back and listen to it. It's at themillionaireinsider.com/13. But it talks all about my focus on income and how he redirected me and shared with me that I needed to focus on the accumulation of wealth. And I truly think because he had so much money, not only over $100 million net worth, but huge amount of income, I knew he knew what he was talking about. And thank goodness I listened to him. That was priceless. And I share 3 other insights I learned from centene millionaires, some good, some not so good. They really shaped my life and they will yours too if you listen to it and apply it. They hire advisors. Now, I used to think, well, maybe they just hire advisors because that's what I saw, because the people I worked with obviously hired advisors. But what I found was that the ones that I continued to see that were fulfilled and wealthy all had a team of advisors. And the ones that I saw that had money, then didn't, had an advisor, then didn't, got a new advisor, then didn't, were ones that were not so fulfilled and did not stay wealthy. They either had money or they didn't have money. One of the biggest issues I also saw is that they followed through. They had experts that supported them and they were really good at creating a plan and sticking with it. Now, one of the things that I thought was really interesting too, and it was people that, most of the people that I didn't end up working with, sometimes they would meet me because like one year I was a spokesperson for the Financial Planning Association. And so I was on TV and on the radio. And it was really interesting. Some of the people I'd meet with, it's like they would meet with me because like one of the partners made them come. And the entire conversation, the partner that didn't want to be there would just be trying to convince me that everything was okay. That's one thing that I did not see. And I still to this day don't see from people who have money and keep money and also have an amazing life, is they want to know what they need to do. They're not just looking to try to appease their partner and continue doing what they are doing if it's not going to get them where they want to go. People who have money and stay having money, they want different opinions. And this is something that is fascinating to me because I would see people who, and we see it now, where all people want is information on news or politics that supports what they want to believe. I've always been like, I want to know. I love hearing different opinions. Now, believe me, I hear some things and I'm like, okay, I don't think that's backed up by any fact. I want it backed up by fact, not by just what somebody wants to tell you. But one of the things I see with people who are wealthy and have a great life is they don't just want advisors that tell them what they want to believe. They really see value in the experience of somebody that doesn't agree with everything they believe. The other thing too that I've seen is that they're really interested in having an advisor that has already been there and done it as compared to them having to relearn everything. They don't have to reinvent the wheel, which I think is so important for all of us. A lot of them hire other professionals to pay attention to the details. And I think this is really important. It's important that you get somebody that can pay attention to the details, but that you don't abdicate. Like the disasters when you give it to them and then you abdicate it. In my book, If Only I Had Known, when I did all the research, like 200 people, one of the people I interviewed, the financial planner, she had like an $85 million net worth. Her husband died and her husband's CPA of like 20 years took over. Well, guess what? When the husband died and no one was paying attention, he kind of became a silent partner. And she got a call from the alma mater saying, your $2 million check bounced. And that's where she found out that he had been stealing money from her. So you can delegate, just don't abdicate. And you got to make sure, ideally, you have a check and balance. Like I personally like it where you have an independent CPA an independent attorney, and an independent financial advisor. Now, I know there's a lot of family offices that people love. What I don't love about that model is that you don't have the independence of them looking at it from a third eye. And a lot of people have gotten themselves in trouble is where either the advisor, it's a team of advisors and they're all working together, or where the person is a financial advisor, an attorney, and a CPA. I just like having independence where somebody else is looking at it and can give you an independent opinion. Possibly the other major takeaway is that people who really sustain their wealth don't fall into the KKDK, meaning what they know that they don't know. And one of the biggest challenges is because I've been successful in this area, therefore I know how to do a financial plan. I know how to do investment planning. They don't fall into that. The other thing that's critical is that they don't abdicate it. And I want to really stress that because another couple I interviewed, I mean, they had like $10 million and they wanted to leave each of their 5 children $1 million. At the time, estate taxes were about 50%. So they were going to be able to do that. But they got a call from the Lakers coach saying, why are you selling your beachfront property? And they're like, we're not selling it. He's like, yeah, I'm buying it. They found out that their advisor had been stealing from them. So just because you hire somebody does not mean you go to sleep at the wheel. You've got to still pay attention. I cannot stress to you how important that is. And then the next thing is execution. If you're like me, you love planning, you love visioning, you love dreaming, but we've also got to take the time to create the plan and then execute it. And one of the things that millionaires do money so differently is that they execute, whether they feel like it or not. They're not focused in on how they feel at this moment. They're focused in on the feeling they want when they achieve their goal. Big difference. So it's important that you know what you want to feel because that's why we set goals, because how we're going to feel when we achieve them. The reality of it is, if we can start working on that feeling now, then when we achieve it, it's a lot better, right? But the other issue is not allowing that primal brain to say, well, I don't feel like it today. Now, obviously, if you're really sick or there's an emergency or you have a pre-planned vacation, that's fine. But I'm talking about just not feeling like it. Like today, I felt really tired and I don't know why. I got adequate sleep last night. Granted, it is a little hot here in Phoenix. I'm down for a few days to do recordings and I had some meetings I needed to be in my office for. And I was just like, oh, I feel like I need to take a nap. And I'm like, nope, I've got to get down there and I've got to do my recordings. I like to be 6 weeks in advance and I'm not quite there. But I'm like, no. And I've got too much work to do. And I'm like, no, I'm not doing that. And once I got here, I got situated and I got into it. I'm like, oh, I love this. I'm so into it. And this is my give back work. I mean, this is something that every day I wake up and I'm like, okay, this is something in my life. Do I really want to do it? And I really do, because I know by giving you this insight, it's going to help so many of you on your journey. And if even one person creates a financially free life they love and really creates a fulfilled and wealthy life, I have achieved my objective. So that's why I'm doing it. And actually, my goal is 10 million women, but even one makes it worth it. All right, so let's recap. Number one, they manage their emotions and they spend time making sure that they can push the pause button when their primal brain kicks in so that they can have the time and space to allow their prefrontal cortex to bring in the rational brain and the logical brain and not that emotional child brain. They have a plan and they prepare for the unexpected. They begin with their main income source. They know their numbers. You've heard me talk about this before, but it's so important. How many people don't know their numbers? And it's embarrassing for me to say for years, I kind of knew my numbers, but I didn't know them like I know them now. I monitor them on a daily basis. They forgo income over the accumulation of wealth. As a reminder, the average millionaire makes less than $100,000 a year because they're more focused on accumulation of wealth than earning income. They hire a great team of advisors and they execute regardless of how they feel in the moment. So I want to thank you so much for joining me today. Before you get back to your day, I want you to set time in your calendar to start creating your financial freedom plan. If you need support on that, you can go to themillionaireinsider.com/FFG. That's for your financial freedom formula guide, but that'll really take you step by step through what you need to do. Again, that's themillionaireinsider.com/FFG. But the key is you got to start. So even if you're not where you want to be financially, or you may be, or you don't know, like most people that are in our community are like, they want to know things are taken care of. And if that's you, then I encourage you to go download this free guide. It's themillionaireinsider.com/FFG, our financial freedom guide. If you love the content, please share it with a friend and subscribe or follow so you get notified of future episodes, and also give us a 5-star review. We really appreciate your support. Congratulations on taking another step to create a financially free life you love. If you're not sure about your financial future or that it's in order, or you are ready to stop worrying about money, or possibly the fear of becoming a bag lady, ending up broke in retirement, or you simply are ready to know your financial house is in order so you can have a bright financial future, please go to themillionaireinsider.com/NSF. And that doesn't stand for non-sufficient funds. It stands for next step finance. It's the next best step of what you need to do so you can avoid an NSF notice in your future. Again, themillionaireinsider.com/NSF. The number of women who were not broke or poor while working or married is staggering. The entire mission of the Wealth Inside and Out podcast is to ensure you have the information for you, your family, your friends, anyone who's willing to listen to it and apply it so that you can create a financially free life you love. Again, themillionaireinsider.com/NSF. Until our next episode, take one action that will help you create a financially free life you love. I'm Annette Bau, your host. All international copyrights are reserved. Bye for now.